Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Brent Venables, the Oklahoma Sooners land another massive commitment in the 2025 class coming from four-star wide receiver Cortez Mills. And for those who've been listening to me ramble on over the summer about some of my favorite wide receiver prospects in this 2025 cycle, a guy like Cortez Mills, he comes up very often. You look at Cortez Mills and say he's not the fastest wide receiver. He's not the biggest wide receiver, but he might be the best wide receiver in the country at the catch point. I mean, the body control, the coordination, whatever that combination is, I don't think you can find a wide receiver that operates better with the football in the air than Cortez Mills. I am fired up about this addition for the Oklahoma Sooners. And we got to give a shout out to Emmett Jones. And that's probably my fault. I don't give Emmett Jones enough flowers. We talk a lot about DeMarco Murray or Coach Todd Bates. You look at Emmett Jones in the wide receiver room he's building in Norman. It's a special wide receiver, and we expect it to be really good in 2024. But you take a look at the young talent that is getting added to this wide receiver room. Emmett Jones is taking care of business on the recruiting trail. And you look at the recruitment of Cortez Mills, this was one of the more coveted wide receivers we've seen in this 2025 cycle. And seemingly kind of out of nowhere, Emmett Jones once again gets it done for one of the top wide receivers in the 2025 cycle, fired up to get into the film. It is probably the most exciting film study that you'll see at the wide receiver position in 2025. Before we do it, as always, just want to say thank you to you guys. It's been just an absolute blast breaking down all these commitments. I can't thank you guys enough for rocking with the boys. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. And without further ado, let's get into Cortez Mills. And what I said about him at the catch point, you'll kind of see that get backed up on the film, but let's just take a look at the production on Friday nights. And I feel like that's a conversation that too often when we're talking about the recruiting trail gets overlooked. I think a lot of the conversation goes to verified size, verified speed markers, all the stuff that's really important when you're projecting guys to the next level. But sometimes we just don't talk enough about the football players that these kids actually are. And you look at Cortez Mills, 79 catches for 1,600 yards, 18 touchdowns during his junior year. He's not only a premier athlete. This is a very good football player that's backed it up with the production Friday nights. And again, Cortez Mills, in terms of the kind of wide receiver prospect he is, he's fascinating in my mind because he's not necessarily the biggest frame at 6'1", 170 pounds, but he plays so much bigger than his size at the catch point. I mean, when that football is in the air, he has just kind of a special ability to go up and make plays. And that's something that's really important, especially for a team like Oklahoma, where you're going into the SEC and for one, you're dealing with a lot of elite defenses. But I think more importantly, you look at winning football games in the SEC, you got to be able to score in the red zone. Cortez Mills is one of those wide receivers that when you get into the red zone in those throwing windows are kind of condensed. Cortez Mills can be one of those guys that, hey, we're just going to throw a little back shoulder here and rely on Cortez Mills to come down and make a play. And oftentimes Cortez Mills can be that wide receiver. You get into the film, and again, it is really one of the more fun film studies to watch. Him working vertically, and then when that football's in the air, it really just doesn't get any better. I mean, we're going to put a safety over the top here. We're just going to throw it up. And again, the tracking ability, the functional athleticism, all the combination of that type of stuff, Cortez Mills is consistently coming down with these kind of footballs. And he's a guy that can operate after the catch as well. Again, I think his best asset is his ability to go up and make plays and track the football vertically. This is a guy that when he does get the football in space can certainly make some things happen. But you make no mistake about it. He's going to be a deeper third wide receiver at the collegiate level. I really like this rep as well. Again, you take a look at, we're going to go up and just track the football, and then we're going to get it at its highest point. This is a guy that you continue to watch the film and just say every single time, as the kids say, like, these just mossing guys. And I think that's what's most exciting about a guy in Cortez Mills, a little creating separation here, and then we're going to operate after the catch. Again, I'm not necessarily talking that much about what Cortez Mills can do after the catch because I don't think it's his best trait to his game. That being said, he's certainly damn good at operating after the catch, which is something that's very important in this Oklahoma offense. You kind of see him kind of part of this this stack in the slot, I guess you will say. And I like just the feel. I mean, we're going to sit it down in this zone coverage. We're going to throttle it down, be a quarterback friendly wide receiver, and then we're going to go make stuff happen after the catch. Again, he's not necessarily the biggest or fastest, but he can operate after the catch. He's elite at the catch point. I really do like this pickup for Oklahoma. And you take a look at the 2025 class, and we had the conversation about Brent Venables getting the contract extension. And one of the conversations that we had was, he's getting it done on the recruiting trail, and he's recruiting the spots that you kind of need to recruit at a high level to win in the SEC. What's the biggest difference between Brent Venables and Lincoln Riley, and why do we all feel very confident that Brent Venables is the coach for Oklahoma to lead them into the SEC? You start scrolling down and say, where are our top prospects kind of showing up? It's the line of scrimmage, right? CJ Nixon, a guy that I think could really be a good tight end, but probably going to play edge at Oklahoma. Ryan Foji. You take a look back at the 2024 class and say that defensive line class might have been the best defensive line class that we saw in 2024. Brent Venables is recruiting the right way to win games at a high level in the SEC. You talk about why we're confident and why we were happy about the contract extension for Brent Venables is, for one, he's put it on the field. This team took a massive step in 2023, but I think most importantly, you look at the trajectory of where this program is going, and it's unquestionably going in the right direction. I think, secondly, Brent Venables has surrounded himself with an elite coaching staff. I mean, you look at Emmett Jones and you look at DeMarco Murray, you look at a guy like Todd Bates, it's littered with really good player developers, but also really, really good recruiters. And you're seeing it play out on the high school recruiting trail. We'll cut it there with Cortez Mills. Again, a fascinating prospect that with anything, he's just going to be a really fun player to watch in Norman over the next 3 to 4 years. Oklahoma fans should be fired up. Appreciate you guys rocking with it again. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all